It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Schick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Very good.
Yep.
Delightful.
Great.
Hope everybody is doing okay out there. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, last week I said I was watching The Sopranos, and I finished that. Friday, they did release, if you guys are a fan of The Sopranos, I did a small write-up, well, not real small, but as much as Discord would let me write up of the movie, The Many Saints of Newark. Yeah, it told me 2,000 letters to save room for everybody else. So I was like, what?
Believe me, because I've had that problem when I've hosted birthdays, monthly birthdays. So yeah.
Dang. So go back and take this out. I won't spoil it because, like I said, it just came out Friday. If you were a fan of the series, this was great. Like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but it was more about Dickie Moltisanti, which was Christopher's dad, which all through the series, all 6 seasons, his name was mentioned all the time, and our understanding was that he was killed when Christopher was a baby. And this kind of goes into that story. And like I said, if you're a fan of the show, the very last sentence of this movie is totally going to fuck your world up. Completely and totally. I can't believe David Chase waited until the very end to drop that bomb on us. But I definitely see like another movie in the works because the way that they did drop that bomb on us. But also, he played up Michael Gandolfini, which was James Gandolfini, who was Tony Soprano. They played him up in this movie, in the previews and everything else. If you watch the trailers, you would think this was all about Tony, but it wasn't. It did show the relationship he had with his uncle, but other than that, he was just a supporting character. Other characters had bigger parts than he did. And Michael Gandolfini doesn't even come in until an hour into the show. So, but some of the old gang antics that we hear about when they were sitting all around the table eating and stuff, some of those did get played out in the movie. So that was kind of cool to see that. One thing that I guess I'm going to nitpick here. David Chase is known to be a very stickler for details, which was what made The Sopranos so great. Half the time, the cast didn't even get their full scripts because he was very worried about leaking things, and just in case up until the last minute he needed to change something because, it didn't work or whatever. So he was very adamant and very good about details. Well, in the movie, I really think he screwed up the ages. A lot of the gang, the family, was referred to as the Mickey Mouse Club. And one of the guys that is in the movie, their big break was busting into a card game, and they robbed him. Well, this was the maid guy's card game. So they said it took a lot of guts, and, they brought him into the family after that and everything else. That's not in the movie. But the point of that was that Seal was one of the guys who was with him. So, they grew up together. They got made together. Well, in the movie, Seal is, when Tony is maybe 10, Seal's already in the family. He's got a good position in the family already. So it was kind of like, That was kind of weird. Christopher had made, there was a couple of episodes where a second Tony cousin came in, so it was Tony and Tony, and he said that they always made him feel like, the little kid when they hung out, because he was the little kid. But in this movie, Tony Soprano is like maybe 16 years older than him. And that's not the case. He wouldn't be playing with a baby at 16, So we'll say 5 when a kid can actually play. 20-year-old guy is not going to be playing with a 5-year-old kid, So it just, it was kind of, I think he got the ages off. They played up that John Barthenthal was going to be Johnny Boy, which is Tony's dad in the movie, and total screen time, we maybe see him for about 5 minutes. So, that being said, with Junior being in the movie, Corrado, we know that, he put a hit out on Tony in the Sopranos series twice. And he shot him in the stomach the third time and almost killed him. So to say they had some bad blood between them wouldn't be an understatement. And you can kind of see that going on in the background, not directly. We never really, the fights that we heard or the yelling was a background thing. It was never front and center. So it was kind of, I feel like he's leading into another prequel. I don't know. What do you call a prequel after a prequel? I don't know. But
Part
still,
two.
Yeah, part 2.
Prequel.
I think they will go into a little bit more with Tony and Junior, just because some of the things that happened in this movie would definitely have to be explained, But the movie itself is kind of set in the time of the Civil Rights Movement. And we know that in New York, the Italian bosses, now this is real life history, not the TV show, the Italian bosses got into it with the African American bosses. And that's really when the African Americans kind of came up and kind of took New York over. And this movie is during that time when there's a power shift coming. And you see it, but not only within the mob, but this was also during the time when, cops were, I hate to say that so long ago, but when cops were beating the blacks and, they weren't allowed in certain places. This is that time period there. So if you've never watched a Soprano episode at all, you might like the movie, but you probably won't. There's so much, you wouldn't have to, like I said, you wouldn't have had to have seen the movie to know what's going on, but there are a lot of callbacks and a lot of, Easter eggs in this to where the fans were like, okay. Some of Seal's favorite sayings, I get back out and they just draw me back in again. That was in the movie a few times. So, it's just things like that he did a lot of fan service with this without making another Sopranos episode. So you may like it just because of what is going on in the movie, but I don't think you would enjoy it as much as the Soprano fan did. I did hear that David Chase got awfully pissed off that this was released on HBO Max at the same time as the theater. I think we're going to hear that a lot from a lot of different people. Of course, I've made my opinion known. I love that they stream it. But even if we were in a perfectly normal world and we could go around and lick doorknobs and be fine, I still think they should have done it this way. Sopranos started on HBO. That's what it was known for. It's still the most popular show that they've had. They've got it on their streaming service now. It won Emmys. It won awards.
And if he wants HBO to give him a shit pot full of money to make movies based on that property, he needs to not get too bitchy about how they present it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Take your shit pot full of money and go home and shut up.
Well, after they released the movie, they said that David Chase has signed a 5-year deal with HBO. Now, you're not agreeing to make movies for 5 years, so there's got to be a series that's going to be made So I'm wondering if they're going to do more Sopranos or if he's got something else lined up to do for HBO. It would be nice. What I don't want to see, if they come back with the Sopranos, I kind of don't want to know what happened to Tony. I don't. The way he ended the series, the family was eating, and then the screen just went black for like 5 minutes. People thought their cable went out and everything else because it's like, what happened? What happened? But he kind of left that up to you. What do you think happened? Did he finish eating his dinner with his family and go home and continue, normal Tony stuff, or did someone take him out? So I kind of like that he ended that way. And he's, for 20 years, whatever, after this has gone off the air, he still has never clarified what happened in that diner, and I like it that way. So I don't think I would like to see them come up and finish that. Plus, I don't know how you could do a Sopranos without Tony. That it was all about his life, I forget, it was the Molini family was actually the mob family, not the Sopranos. So I don't know. It would be nice to see more of that family, maybe, and not so much on Tony's family. But once again, if you're trying to capture your audience back that you had before, you probably go with that family. So, yeah, that was like I said, if you're a fan, you really like it. If you're not, you might. I could be wrong, but I felt that you really needed to kind of know who these guys were. But the guys that are in the movie, a lot of them were not in the series. They were just talked about. So it kind of helped to know some of the background. But like I said, the last 30 seconds of the show, you'll be like, what? Oh my God, he didn't just say that. So it really, which in a way was kind of, I think, once again, kind of a gift to us, because what happens, we've been questioning the whole time that Sopranos was on the air, what happened, so it was kind of nice that he kind of wrapped that up for us. It did put another blemish on the Soprano family, but it was in a, kind of one of those, you knew, but they just confirmed what you knew. But with it being October, a lot of the channels are doing marathons now. Yesterday I got into a Halloween marathon, which was kind of cool. They started it out with Rob Zombie's first, his two, and then they went into the series. I always think it's funny that when most TV channels do a Halloween marathon, they leave out 3. Season of the Witch. I guess they shouldn't call it a Halloween marathon. They should call it a Michael Myers marathon at that point, I like 3 though. It's not a Michael Myers, but I liked it. Got a catchy tune. Neat little story. Scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. But but they didn't play that one. And then today I got into a Saw marathon. I haven't seen a lot of those. And honestly, I couldn't tell where one movie ended and another one, because I kind of was paying attention, but I kind of wasn't. So it was kind of like, oh, this is a whole different movie. I think for Saw, like I said, I watched 6, 7, whatever of them today. The best part of Saw is the last 30 minutes. When he's explaining why they're there, why you're a piece of shit, you're probably going to die anyways, and he's making you pay, and that's the best part of all of that. I kind of get lost, and I don't know. I guess I don't like watching people turn on each other. To me, that's more horrific than just chop their head off,
You say that, and then you watch all that YouTube drama shit all the time. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
true, but
So
nobody
you'd like
died.
it, just not right, just not when there's like blades and weapons involved.
Right. But once again, are they scary? No. If I had a bear trap on my head, it would be scary. But it didn't really. I'm not going to have any problems sleeping tonight. It's not those kind of scary movies.
Not because of that, anyway.
Right. I think I've said it once and I'll say it again. I think with the newer horror shows, they go for gore and they consider that scary. Ooh, if we split this guy's head in half and make blood go everywhere, it'll scare him real bad. That's not scary. I mean, it's gross, but it's not scary,
It's been that way since Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I mean, back in 1980 or 81, I mean, they essentially took what Halloween did and said, well, we got to gore it up.
Yeah.
We're going to do the same thing, except for it's got to be more gory, because Halloween wasn't gory. And then everybody else jumped on that wagon. So it's been that way. Yeah. I mean, Saw has been called torture porn. And, yeah, I could see that.
I could see that.
As someone who's liked the general story of the films, because it's actually one of the better in terms of continuity, although there's a hell of a lot of retcons in each film, and I get that.
Yeah.
But it's handled a hell of a lot better than most other franchises, and I'll give them that. But yeah, it's gory as hell.
Now, after the main guy dies, most people would have thought it ended there. There's like, 3-4 movies after he dies? So it's kind of like, golly.
Because well, I mean, and that's, and I can understand that's kind of stretching it a little bit, because some of the games were planned by him, but he did have accomplices. Yeah.
Well, and still the games were still planned by him. Yes. He just had other people carry them out. And, it's I will say, for a show that's gone on for so long, they do tie it together really good. And usually, like part 2, they will show you kind of wrap up part 1 again and then expand on that on the ending. That's kind of cool. Like I said, the best part of those movies are the last 30 minutes when he's kind of like, and here's how you got here. This is your life.
I mean, and I'm probably going to spoil this for somebody who's not seen the films. When you're watching the 4th film and you get right to the end and then you realize it's happening the same time as the events of the 3rd film, you're going, oh, shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Jigsaw's a busy boy.
Well, he dies at the end of 3, so.
That explains why he's not in 4.
And I think was it 3 or 4 where they go back to the first show and explain how all that was set up and who he had helping him, and so that was kind of cool too. So everything ties together really well. But once you've seen the first one, you kind of know that they're going to play a game. And
man, how do you write up that job description when you're looking for people to help you with those things?
He preyed on a weakness. I think the first girl, he found her by her record and just knew she just didn't give a shit about anything, not even herself.
Well,
that's why he threw her in a pit of needles,
Well, she was actually one of the. She was in part of the game for the first film.
Kind of, because then when they go back to the first, or in 3 or 4. They go back and show that she was the one who helped him put the blood on his head and get him laid out on the floor.
Well, yeah, that was after she survived her game.
Yeah.
She survived her game, and he saw something in her, and he made her his protege. So yeah, because she returned in 2, and we didn't know why she returned in 2 until they revealed it. And then the third film was them explaining not only what was going on record time in regular time, but going back and how did he start trying to train her and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah. And then
I
in the
think
fourth
he
one,
knew
we found
he
out there
could-
was actually another protege too. So yeah.
Yeah.
This is starting to
Well, and
sound
there
like
was-
time travel.
There was like a cop who helped him, and from the very beginning, So, like I said, it's cool the way they everything. Every movie had that one tie-in to something, and I liked that they actually took you back and showed you, here's what you missed.
Well,
You may
like I
have
said,
saw him, but here he is doing this.
like I said, there was a lot of retcons in each film, but it wasn't done. It wasn't done to where you're going, okay, this is stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It was. It may have been pushed a little bit, but it was still kind of, you could believe it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, those weren't bad. I turned those off to do this tonight. I don't know if there was any more after.
Otherwise, she'd have kept
6,
going.
7.
Well, let me just say, stop after Jigsaw. Let me stop after 7. Don't watch Jigsaw.
Don't watch Jigsaw. I think that was the next one coming on.
That one.
We saved you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that one?
Anytime.
That one's supposed to take place 10 years later, and I watched it once, and I was like, okay. And
Is it like an Annabelle situation?
No, they tried to tie it back to the original guy, and I was like, he's been dead for 10 years. How can this happen?
Yeah.
They tried to do it again. So it's like, you can't do that if there's a 10-year time gap between all the stuff he was behind and all in his influence to something then now. I still want to see Spiral. I'm afraid how that's going to be, but the fact that no one's talked about it doesn't make me feel all that comfortable.
Right.
At least if you like it or you hate it, you talked about it. No one's talked about it, so that scares
me.
Because Spiral is from the Book of Saw. So
and when did that one come
Chris
out?
Chris Rock one, right?
Yes, that's Chris Rock. That's came out without the last year or so.
Yeah, it's been. It might have been this year.
Yeah.
Or it might have been late last year.
Talking about it
now. Either last year or this year. Yeah.
I will say one of the good things about the Saints of Newark, a lot of people have been really respectful not to throw spoilers out there. Because there could be just one thing said that I'm dying not to say right now that would totally ruin the whole movie for people. So I'm glad that people have been respectful of that and kind of waiting for everybody to catch up. I'm kind of waiting for everybody to catch up so I can go, oh my God, can you believe this, and have someone to talk to.
Yeah, this is a mobster thing. If people talk about this, they will get whacked.
Yep.
So,
I think David Chase would come and do it himself.
They might very well.
You mean people are not going on social media saying I love you 3000?
Right. Yep.
Holy shit, that was all over social media the weekend Avengers Endgame came out. I was like, what in the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
And then, of course, stupid me had to research it. And then, okay, well, thank you. Thank you for fucking that up for me.
The whole ending, yeah. He said, and there usually is just one thing, But I enjoyed watching it with fresh eyes, so I'll give everybody that chance. I haven't really said anything that you couldn't find in the synopsis somewhere. I tried, But in a couple of weeks, oh my God.
All bets are off.
But, they made a comparison to Venom also came out this weekend, and it's done really well at the box office. But Marvel did not release this on Disney. And everybody's like, well, that's why it's done so good, and da-da-da-da-da. And we have the Saints of Newark that also was released in theaters, and I think it did like $5 million, which to me, that's not bad opening weekend. We're still in a pandemic, guys. But that also doesn't take into account of people like me who've watched it at home. And I've seen people online who've said they've watched it more than one time at home. So, I would like to see the final figures on that to see how well it did, honestly. I don't know if I'm just one of those oldies that, I found it more exciting than what the newer generation will, but it did open a lot of conversation about, do you guys ever wonder, do you think there's a present day mob? I mean, we hear of cartels and stuff, but like Al Capone and that kind of stuff, you don't hear about that anymore. I mean, maybe that's everything that happened with Al Capone and everything else. Maybe that's why we don't, but you don't hear about the mob anymore.
Well, I'm sure they prefer it that way if they're still around. But
yeah. And one point that was made in the Sopranos series, at the very ending of it, people were starting to turn on each other, and Tony Soprano came out and he was kind of like, there's just no loyalty nowadays. Before a guy got popped, he'd go to the can and he would do his time and he would keep his mouth shut, and it was an honor to serve that time for his family. But now they get popped and it's, well, let me turn a deal. Let me squeal on everybody and get everybody else in trouble instead of just going to prison and serving my time, And to me, that kind of made sense. Also, you didn't have cell phones and that kind of thing back, in Al Capone time. I'm sure that would have changed the game completely, not only for the mobsters, but for Intel, because once we started getting telephones and cell phones and computers, you can't do anything nowadays without the government knowing where you're at and what you're doing. And if you own a smartphone, you're marked, and that's not a tinfoil conspiracy theory. That's just the way things are, You walk out on the street and there's cameras everywhere, So I think today it would be harder to conceal the kind of crimes that they did so blatantly out in the open because of all of the technology and rats that we have today.
Well, and that's the deal, is if it's still going on, they're being a lot smarter and a lot less just brutally violent about it.
Right. I mean, if you think of all of, who is that, El Chapo we just brought in not too long ago, it's because somebody turned on him, It wasn't because he was, he got lazy and slipped and did something wrong. It's because somebody turned him in, Not saying he shouldn't have been. I'm not saying that at all. Unless you're a mob guy and then, hey, I don't like sleeping with dishes. But I
You're
think
300 miles from the ocean. You're probably okay in that regard.
Right.
Now, there are oil drums all
big
over the place
lunch.
around here, but that's beside the point.
Right.
Maybe you'll find Jimmy
Either
Hoffa.
Mark
Who
or
knows?
Badger. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I did. I've been marathoning.
Obviously. Holy cow. Wish I had your level of free time. That would be great.
Well, I kind of had a mini vacation, so I filled that time up because I can't watch Saul and Michael Myers with the baby running around.
I was hoping not,
I gotta teach him young. Go ahead.
Right. Even The Sopranos I couldn't watch with her around, Too many glue balls.
It's all about perspective. But anyway.
Oh.
Cool. So my stuff, I don't know. I had kind of a rough weekend, so I'm a little fuzzy on what I did last week at this point. I think I've mostly just been trying to stay ahead of horror month here, watching stuff. I talked last week about Duck Soup, so I don't really think I've done anything other than that. So what I'm going to do instead, I have a plan. I'm going to plug something in the future rather than talking about the past. So this episode drops on the 10th, which is a Sunday. The next Saturday, the 16th, I'm going to drop a link in the show notes. It is a YouTube link, and it is for the Wheel of Horror special. This is hosted by our buddies Pitney and Amelia. This is their contribution to all the horror. It is going to be a live streamed event on Saturday, October 16th, 8 p.m. Central Time. Obviously, they will be there, and I will be there representing the Fellowship. And there will be folks representing the Two Girls on a Bench podcast, the Flicks X-Rayed podcast, and the Real Feels podcast. And we're going to play a game, and we're going to talk about scary movies for a couple of hours. And I fully expect that it will be a good time. So, like I said, link in the show notes. Click on it. If you click on it beforehand, you can very much click on it beforehand, and there is a little bell icon there that says set reminder, and that way your computer or phone or whatever your preferred watching device is will remind you when it's going live. So you should come check that out.
No, Pitney was the one I was singing MCR with, right?
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Very much so.
Very nice.
Yep.
Looking forward to it.
It does sound cool.
All right, Les.
Well, other than catching up, like Mike was saying, on Horror Month and such, I put a call into my good friend El Chapeau and had a lengthy discussion with him. So that was about it.
El Chapeau, huh?
Well, that's what we call him. Yeah.
Chappie.
Yeah, Cappy.
I don't even know how to write that up for the show notes. Yeah. I'll figure it out.
Just put down a big pile of nothing. Okay, for me, I've been working on research for this month's discussion. Still working on next year's schedule and got a few other things in the fire, so stay tuned for that.
S'mores?
Yeah, we could do that.
Ooh, no roasted marshmallows.
It's okay. I don't like marshmallows either. I just eat the chocolate.
Ugh. I got sick one time on roasted marshmallows. I can't even smell them without gagging. Like now my mouth is getting watery just talking about it.
Glad we could help.
Yeah.
Just put your microphone on and you can leave and it'll be all right.
Right.
We'll know when you're back because you'll be your mute will be off. So, go ahead. It's okay.
It's okay.
Before we get into this week's discussion, it's already been mentioned that we do have a Discord that you're more than welcome to come join us. Sign up is free. The app is free. We do have an invite that's available on our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Just look for the join our Discord image. Just click on that. We post a lot of news items, a lot of fun stuff, trivia, videos, memes, that kind of stuff. It's a little home away from home where we can kind of get together and just chit chat. We've done movie nights on there. We're planning to do a Halloween event toward the end of the month and that kind of stuff. So just if you're interested, just come join us.
It's a little slice of geeky heaven.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. We are continuing our All Ages Horror Month. And for this week, We are discussing the animated film Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and the Garfield Halloween Adventure special. I believe the Garfield special was from '85, and the Scooby-Doo animated film was like '89 or
98.
98. Wow, that late. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with that, I'm going to open up the floor and give your thoughts on which one. But
Watch your step, please. The floor is open.
You don't want to fall in.
Don't fall down there.
okay. Go ahead.
Well, I'll start off with Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I didn't like it. I love Scooby, and I didn't like this one.
Wow.
Usually with Scooby, it's Mr. Jenkins, the old farmer with a mask, you know. This one it isn't that. This isn't, matter of fact, that's kind of what it starts off with. Daphne's tired of, you know, just finding these people in a mask, and, you know, all their monsters aren't real, and they meet up in Louisiana. The team gets back together to go do a haunted house, right, or look for real monsters. And they find the chef who invites them back to their mansion, and they get there, and there's zombies, and there's ghosts, and Thundercats, all kinds of stuff. And it instead of it being, you know, some guy in a mask, it's actually voodoo and supernatural going on, which I will go out on a limb. I'm a Scooby fan, and I think this is the only time that it wasn't a goober in a mask. You know, it was actually, you know, there was a supernatural force behind this one. Sounding, you know, talking it out, I should like this, but I found some parts just kind of dragged. Scooby with the cats got kind of boring after the third time, you know.
Oh, it took you that long to get bored with that. Wow.
Well, the first time was kind of funny, you know.
Okay, if you say
He's
so.
a good boy. Takes off, you know. But yeah, like I said, it definitely is a different Scooby than the normal Scooby. I think for Halloween time, usually the Scooby I go for is the Ghoul School one, where they got all the kid monsters there and that kind of thing. Which I guess, hey, that wasn't somebody in a mask. Those are actually, so.
Well,
I
that's what.
Myself wrong talking.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to bring up, is this actually started the trend of everything they encounter is actually supernatural. It's not anybody in the masks. They have abandoned that, and I thought that was kind of interesting, because I mean, I know there was the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, but that wasn't the entire crew. That was, I think it was Shaggy and Daphne, and then Scooby and Scrappy, and then Vincent Price. Yeah, so, but it wasn't. It was.
Film and them came in later on that one too, though.
Okay. But this is the first time. This is really the first time that they encounter something supernatural, that's real monsters and all that, and that's all they've done since then. Which you know, in hindsight, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, you would think you would, even with the new shows and all that, you think you want to kind of mix it up a little bit. It doesn't always have to be a monster, but then again, it doesn't always have to be a guy in a mask. You know, it would be nice if they would kind of switch it up. That way, you don't automatically think, well, we know this is going to be the farmer who's trying to save his land, or the, you know, whatever, or it's not really vampires, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
To me, I think that would be if I was watching the newer shows, and I assume there's still new shows, I don't know, but I would think they would want to switch that up so it wasn't the same thing all the time. You know, it's but that's just me.
See, I kind of like the mystery of trying to figure out who it is. I guess even from the very, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? That was the fun of the episode, is figuring out which one of these people,
Well,
was the red herring.
Sure,
Yeah,
and
well,
seeing how these idiots manage to scare themselves every 5 seconds also.
Right, yep.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, there's also not only who, but what. I mean,
Yeah.
So that's another question that could be answered. But, like I said, that may be just me.
And I thought this one actually played that up relatively well at the beginning. I mean, I could also see that not continuing to work every time. But the backstory of, we used to do this, and it was always just some jackass in a monkey suit. And we're looking for the real thing now. And, oh, damn, we found it. What are we going to do? That's interesting, I think, the first time they do it. I can see it not being interesting like the 15th time. So I don't know if you could pull off a series of that.
Yeah, and I guess part of what I didn't get was, okay, pirates came on the island and was killing everybody, so they prayed to the cat god, and they were turned into cats. And in order to stay cats, they had to drain the life force of visitors.
I think you're close. I think it was the pirates showed up on the island to bury their stuff and stumbled across the cat people, and there was a big fight. And yeah, I mean, who won is, I don't know, up for debate, I think, because there's still cat people and there's also pirate zombies. Spoiler alert.
Right.
But yeah,
which were actually the good guys in this.
Right. They were just trying to get free of their curse. That's all,
See, and that was another thing I didn't understand, because some of them weren't pirates. Some of them were the tribe of these people that were killed by pirates.
I think that the impression I got was that those people were previous victims of the cat people. They were they were the older sacrifices.
Okay, so it wasn't the actual.
They weren't all pirates.
Friends.
There were a handful of pirates, and then there were a bunch of people who got tricked into coming onto the island and getting murdered in the rituals.
They were
so
tourists.
The original people who died
basically
died. They didn't turn into zombies.
I think some of them were zombies. I
Well,
don't
then
know.
why?
It was a little confusing, but
We'll call them pilgrims, like a tribe of pilgrims. If I was a pilgrim, I wouldn't want to help the other people take my other pilgrim friends down, because they didn't kill me. The pirates did. Does that make sense?
No.
I don't think it's the pirates that are killing the people. I think it's the cat cult.
Well, at the very beginning, though, it was the pirates who killed the cat people.
Okay.
And then in order to save themselves, they turned into they prayed to the cat god. So the other cat people...
I'm not sure it was that simple, but okay.
Right. Yeah. So the other people who were with the cat people who were murdered by the pirates, were they zombies too? And if they were, why would you help?
The pirates forced the people at the party into the bog to kill them. They died with the alligators. The alligators attacked them. The two women that survived it put the curse upon the pirates. When they cursed the pirates, they in turn were cursed to feed upon the living souls. The two women would entice people, would lure them to the island to feed upon them. So you had the soldiers, you had the pirates, you had the people of the party, you had tourists there that succumb to the
They get sacrificed.
So if they were
exactly.
sacrificed, they turned to zombies.
Yes.
So if you weren't sacrificed, like the original party, they weren't zombies. They died in the bog.
Well, the people that died in the bog became zombies too, which is a bit of a stretch because they weren't around when the curse was put in and things like that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where this gets a little confusing. Also,
Yeah.
this is a kid's show, by the way.
See, right?
Yes.
And if I was the part of the original party, I wouldn't work with the pirates because you're the whole reason I'm in this bog. And now you want me to help
the
you.
pirates just came. Yeah, the pirates and the party were almost coincidentally being at the same time. That was what I gathered. Was
Okay.
that the pirates showed up independently, and then
Yeah.
the whole thing with the party kind of happened, and it was all kind of happened at once, and no good came of it, honestly.
No.
But yeah,
Done.
I've been to better parties.
Right.
Maybe I've been to worse parties, but I've been to better parties. But yeah, that we have to spend this much time analyzing it tells you that it's more than a little confusing
Right.
in the watching. Yeah, I will say that as a movie by itself, I mean, you say you're a Scooby-Doo fan. I am not a Scooby-Doo fan. I got bored with Scooby-Doo at a very early age because I was one of those weird kids that I was always good at figuring out who the bad guy was.
Yeah.
I actually thought this was okay. I would not give it any better than okay, but I mean, as a horror, I do not think it should be like rated PG or anything. I think there are some serious horror elements here.
Right.
Not hardcore, but not like Saw type horror elements, but some significant horror stuff. I mean, significant supernatural stuff going on. Zombies walking around. Evil cultists sacrificing people. Yeah, It's dark shit. I mean, in that regard, it's not bad. That it's a Scooby-Doo movie is very weird to me, but because I agree. I think I don't expect there to be anything really supernatural involved in a Scooby-Doo outing. I expect it to be, like I said, a bunch of dumb kids running around scaring the shit out of themselves, and then figuring out that there was a perfectly mundane explanation for it the whole time.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that some of that shit looks like really good special effects, and I mean enough to scare the crap out of people, even if they're stoned out of their minds most of the time. But it's all good. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a fair movie, not a great movie, but it was better than I expected it to be. I think because I had no idea when I came into this. I literally just watched this for the first time a month ago.
Well, it didn't have the normal, like you said, I hate to say childish tone to it. I don't know how to.
Well, and my deal with it was it kind of had it, but it unlike the original series. The original series was that pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
This would have it for like 2 or 3 minute spurts, and it did it maybe 7 or 8 times throughout the movie. The rest of the time,
Shaggy and Scooby.
Yeah, almost exclusively it was Shaggy and Scooby, which I thought made. I mean, the fact that you limit that, I thought made it work a lot better.
Yeah.
I feel a little weird saying I kind of like the Scooby-Doo movie, but I mean,
as well you should.
I know, I agree because like I said, I never really liked Scooby-Doo as a kid or as an adult. This is probably the best Scooby-Doo thing I've ever seen. Doesn't really necessarily make it rank high, but there we are. I thought that they actually took the horror seriously to some extent. Not 100%, but to some extent made it more interesting to me.
My favorite one is the Frankenstein one, where they go over to Transylvania because Velma's family died. That one's pretty cool.
Oh, she's a member of the Transylvania Dinkleys, is she?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Should have
Didn't
seen
know
that.
That
Should've-
explains a hell of a lot.
Should have seen that coming, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, they start with blowing the mystery machine up, so it's kind of like, whoa, shit's about to get serious.
I could go off on so many tangents with that one. I really could, but I'm going to try not to.
I liked it. I mean, it's not great. I admit that. And yeah, the running gag with the cats and Scooby, that did get old pretty quick. But it was something different, which I thought. Now, were they successful? I mean, I don't know, but the fact that they tried to do something different instead of doing the usual man in the mask type thing, I thought that's. I applaud them for making the effort. Doing something different.
Right, and they got a little meta with it at first. I thought was a fun twist.
Yeah.
I mean, even to the point of like the really friggin' depressing, oh, where are they now type stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can't imagine what other job in the world that Shaggy could hold down other than like a mall cop, but it was really kind of a little bit of a depressing opening there, really.
Yeah, true.
But
What about you, Les?
after that, but after that, when all of the supernatural shit started happening, things livened up nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pose this.
Okay.
The cats were featured an inordinate amount of times, but were the cats also affected by the curse?
I'm wondering if that's not the original party.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
And
I don't remember now.
they didn't resolve that,
Mm-mm.
and that's okay.
Well, there was a sequel. They may have explained it in the sequel.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, that they had to go back and...
You said there was a sequel?
Yep.
Oh, yes, there is.
2019. Return to Zombie Island.
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
That it's 20 years later makes me very uncomfortable.
So you're not interested in watching it, huh?
No thanks. I nominate Liz.
I was going to say, I have
I
it pulled up
second
on
the
Amazon
motion.
right now. I will let
Put it
y'all
on
know
the
next
schedule.
week.
Okay, cool.
I personally, I'm not into Scooby. The dog can only eat so many Scooby snacks before it becomes bloated. I really disliked the music, and I know that Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Had its own theme song and the like. But to get to a soft point of the movie and then go, let's do a song, drove me crazy.
Well, that kind of happened on the original show from time to
I
time.
say, unfortunately, that's kind of a staple of the thing.
Yeah.
But usually it was the same song all the time on that.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
It usually happened when they were being chased by the evil threat.
Right before
Yeah.
they catch them.
Yeah, right before the mask pops off.
Yep.
I did like the fact that they started with one of the cases, and the guy did use the phrase that everybody came to love and know. So that was kind of fun. But other than that, didn't make me want to run out and buy a copy of it.
No? Wow. I'm shocked.
Sorry, man.
Not really. I'm not, I'm not shocked at all. I'm just wondering if Frank Welker is ever going to stop playing that role.
When he's no longer here.
I mean, good on him for sticking with it for so long, but damn.
Yeah. Yep.
Which role? Freddy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw Billy West as one of the voices, I thought, okay. And he did kind of sound like Fry at times.
A little bit, maybe. It's okay. I think as people have replaced other people, a good bit of in other roles, a good bit of creative license has been taken. Some of the voices sound very different.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Especially with Casey Kasem gone.
Mm-hmm. Also got a little Mark Hamill in this one too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not much, mind you, but a little.
And Tara Strong.
Tara Strong's in everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you look at her filmography, there's not a year that she's ever gone out of work.
Well, when you're that good,
Yep.
you continue working. That's the deal. And she is that good.
Fast, yeah. I mean, she's got, and nothing sounds the same. So.
Yep, you'll never pick out. It's almost impossible. You have to basically know who she is.
Yep.
Because every character is different.
Okay, do we want to go ahead and move on to Garfield then?
Oh yeah, we probably should, huh?
Mm.
Oh man.
This one hit home, huh?
I guess.
There was just so many songs in this. Like, so many songs in this. And Garfield's not a good singer. This is, a 30-minute show? And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs in this.
Well, that's why they got Lou Rawls.
Yep. Yeah, so this one was also about pirates. I
didn't do that on purpose. I'm not that good.
It also had a dog.
Yeah.
That's true.
Odie. I love Odie.
And Cat.
Yep. This one starts off with Binky the Clown. Everybody loves Binky and Garfield. Telling the kids, get ready for Halloween. Odie and Garfield decides he wants candy, so they dress up and they gotta go trick-or-treating. By this time, they've already sang about 5 songs.
Then the plot moves along.
Once they get done trick-or-treating, Garfield decides that's not enough, so they go across the lake and they go to this house where they find out that pirates once buried their treasure there. And at the stroke of midnight, the pirates were going to show up on that exact night and take their treasure back. I had to rewind this quite a few times at the end because it was kind of like, what
the hell just happened? Yeah.
So they ran him out to the dock to scare him and then just left. So it was like, okay. They built up for these pirates to come, and these pirates were going to be bad, and they weren't. They were there for about a minute, and then they were gone.
Their meter was running.
Odie and Garfield go back home. He's so happy that they're back home that he gives up half the candy. They sing a couple of more songs and it's over. Yeah, now Garfield was another one that I grew up with, not only in comic strip, but he had a Saturday morning cartoon that they did. Until you posted this, I didn't realize, I think since what was this, 85? I think they have taken this and have shortened it. They probably took the music out of it, and it's put into one of the regular shows, because I remember seeing this, but not as a Halloween special, as a standalone. So when you first posted it, was like, I haven't seen that. So I think they have condensed it down to be a regular part of the TV series.
Okay.
So, yeah. So honestly, I'm thinking that's probably what they did, is they probably took the music out of it and part of the middle. So, but yeah, it's not bad. It is different than the normal Garfield. Not because of the spooky thing, but I hate to keep harping on the singing, but in the regular series, we didn't get that. You got an opening credits and end credits, and that's where the songs were. So yeah, I did think it was kind of cute that they brought Binky in, because Binky was usually a filler in between the cartoons on Garfield. You know what I'm saying? Usually like a minute or two, and it goes into the next cartoon. So it was kind of cool to see that together. He has been in the episodes before, but yeah. But yeah, like I said, I don't know. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again. Maybe if it was the series, but...
Well, you mentioned the whole thing with the pirates and all that. One of the things that I had a really big red flag pop up when the old man was telling his story about the pirates. He was talking about 100, like you said, 100 years ago they buried that treasure, and he happened to be a cabin boy, 10-year-old cabin boy at the time. I'm like, so you're 110 years old?
He looked 110.
I was like, okay, all right.
That was kind of weird.
It's like, y'all didn't really think this out when you were writing the story. Okay, that's fine.
But then when the pirates came and everything else, after he told his little story, where did he go?
He disappeared. And the next time we see him, he's in their boat with their candy.
Okay.
Which is where Garfield was freaking out about. It was bad enough being left behind by the spirits of pirates, but someone was taken off with his candy. I did love the fact that that Garfield made the deal with Odie to go trick or treating, and when everything's done, he gets one piece of candy.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Okay.
And I loved Odie's first costume. That was cute.
Your thoughts, Mikey?
And then it gets quiet. Yeah. I was shocked to find out that this was only half an hour long. It sure as hell seemed longer.
It's the music, man.
I did not, or at least I do not remember watching the Garfield animated series when it was on.
I didn't either.
I think it was a little after my time or something, which if it fell into Liz's time, then that makes perfect sense. So I kind of didn't have a frame of reference to this. I was always a huge fan of the comic strips. Garfield was awesome, but
yeah,
I didn't need this either. I mean, I guess it was sort of cute, but that doesn't work as well on me as it does on Liz. So
well, even I'm going, eh.
Right, and yeah, that's like its only saving grace for you. Well, guess what? It wasn't for me. So, yeah, I didn't much like this.
And one side note here, I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but when Garfield and Odie go trick-or-treating, they're the same size as the kids. That's a big freaking cat. And a Great Dane at that point. Just something I noticed.
And again, this is not a film that stands up to a lot of tight scrutiny either, in general.
Right.
That's probably not the only thing it's fuzzy on. I mean, the
See,
cat
I'm
and the
wanting to
dog.
say the cartoon handled that a little better as far as proportions go. Because there's like John's niece or something that comes and like terrorizes the cats and stuff, and they are smaller than her. So
Okay.
yeah, it's just a little thing I noticed.
Little.
Well, big thing I noticed. Tall. And Odie would be dangerous as a Great Dane.
Yeah, but could he take on Marmaduke?
No. He's probably more loved than... Oh, I'm thinking Clifford. That's why he grew so big.
I was not pleased with this either, but I'm not a Garfield fan. The only thing I commend them for was it was Lorenzo Music as the voice of Garfield,
Yep.
the man that did originally. And, of course, I knew him from Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Mm-hmm.
He played
Carlton.
the doorman.
Yep.
And there, too, it was a voice. You never saw him in that show either. But when he would buzz up and said, "This is Carlton, the doorman," I would start laughing because it's so stupid. It's like Larry, Daryl, and Daryl on the Bob Newhart show. I'm Larry, this is my brother Daryl, this is my other brother Daryl. So I was happy with that part anyway.
Yeah, I didn't think much of this one. Yeah, probably about halfway through, I was going, how far are we into this? And it's like, only halfway? Wow. Okay. Yeah, it did seem to stretch. It kind of stretched it out.
Yeah. I'm wanting to say their Christmas one is better, though.
Well, hopefully we don't have to watch that.
We're not doing Christmas movies. Not like a series of them like this.
Yeah.
I'm writing it down for next
While
year.
I get a fucking vote, anyway.
Garfield Christmas. Okay. It's on the list.
What have we done?
I'm blaming Liz. She's the one who brought it up.
I said, if y'all want good ones, I'll give you a list.
I'll add the Ziggy one too. So since we're keeping the theme of comic strips.
Holy crap! There was a Ziggy one.
I seem to vaguely remember one.
Yeah, and a Kathy one.
I don't remember Kathy.
Wow.
Because I think. Oh, let me do a little quick search before I open my mouth.
No, you don't have to. You really don't have to.
No, let's let them get it out of their system here and now, so we don't have to deal with it later.
And that's true, too.
Music by Harry Nilsson.
The Ziggy one?
Yes.
Sweet.
Really?
All right, on second
Yes.
thought,
Yeah.
might be willing to check that out.
Thinking this over now.
Okay, now seeing the synopsis, I do vaguely remember seeing this. Ziggy takes a job as a street Santa to raise money and gets pounced on by crooked Santas. So, woohoo! So, all right, I'm putting that on the list for next year.
Alrighty then.
If I can find it, we'll see. I knew I'd swing you over when it was Harry Nilsson. I knew it was going to be. I was thinking he had done the music, but I didn't want to say anything. And then
No, I don't blame you for wanting to confirm that. That's a strong claim.
Yeah, and kind of out of left field. At least I think it is.
He was doing some stuff like that.
Well, no, yeah, well, I mean, I can understand doing music, but for a Ziggy Christmas special.
Okay, sure. It seems a little random. Yeah, but
yeah, that's what I'm getting.
I'd have to know what else he was doing it for at the time, but you know.
Yeah.
He had already done The Point. So.
Oh, it was after that.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
this
he
was
even
big.
won an Emmy for that song that he did for the special.
Okay.
For the Ziggy special?
Hmm
Oh, wow.
It was called Give Love Joy.
Huh. Yeah, well, as I recall, the Halloween that almost wasn't won an Emmy, too. So, there we go.
Oh, man.
So, thumbs down for Garfield, huh?
I think
Yeah.
that's the general consensus, yeah.
Yep.
I think the series was a lot better than the special. But I think they said this was like the 4th of 12 that they did within like a 10-year span. So they were,
They were kind of cranking them out.
Cranking them
yeah.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, strike while the iron's hot. Because he was really popular back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I
it
think
makes sense.
Cartoon Network still plays them. See, and I like the newer ones where it's got the Barnyard Friends. I like them better than Garfield.
Barnyard Friends.
There's little Barnyard Friends. There's usually a Garfield cartoon, then them, and then another Garfield cartoon. Yeah, they're the little Barnyard Friends.
Oh, so that's why they're called Barnyard Friends. Okay. That's good on them to do that. Yeah.
Right.
How novel.
Very clever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any final thoughts? Or if we said enough and don't want to talk anymore about it?
I would just like to iterate, don't.
What, don't iterate?
Don't watch these.
Alrighty. And on that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It's time for our weekly picks. And leading off this week is Les.
Thank you, sir. My first choice comes from American mythology. It is the Monster Men Volume 1 trade. This is based on the stories from Edgar Rice Burroughs. And it brings you horror, monsters, mad scientists, and the like. You start on a jungle island near Borneo, and Professor Maxon and his daughter have barely survived the rampaging half-human beasts created in his laboratory. This one appeals to me because of the fact that it is kind of a follow-up to Burroughs' The Monster Men, and the fact that it's a collection of about, I want to say, 4 issues that will get you started toward reading more of Burroughs books or comics based on Burroughs. So I'm in on this one, and I need to make sure that my comic shop knows of that too.
Cool.
Cool. Sounds like fun. Kind of a little gateway drug there.
There you go. Alrighty, Liz.
All right. For my first pick, it's one from DC Comics Black Label, and it's Batman the Imposter. Now, if I'm reading this right, this will go back to the first year. It says underway for a year or so of Batman being in Gotham. And, of course, when you get a good guy coming in and cleaning up the streets and busting a few heads around, you're going to make some enemies.
Really?
So he's pissed off everybody. Even the police department's pissed off at Batman. So a guy comes along and he's like, you know what? I'm going to dress up as Batman and I'm going to start killing people. But not only am I going to kill them, I'm going to do it on like live TV where everybody can see Batman killing somebody. So this will go into that Batman's got to clear himself. And of course, it's kind of hard to clear yourself when you're wearing a mask yourself, you know. So should be pretty interesting. Like I said, I'm excited. This is on the Black Label, so maybe we can get more of a down and dirty kind of story.
More Batwing.
Oh
Yay.
God, I was so
Yay.
trying not to say that. I was trying really hard not to say that.
Well, you know, the cape's got to come off, so maybe so.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure he's
yeah.
wearing something under the cape, though.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Unless he's Irish, you know.
That's Scottish, but okay.
Oh, Scottish. Yeah, this
Moving
is
along.
And like I said, how long has it been since somebody's gone all the way back to the beginning of Batman? So I always like to see them in their early stages when they're still
Probably about 6 months.
How many times do you want?
true. True. And I had to make sure this was Bruce Wayne's Batman, not the new Batman, which we're at the end of the show and I won't go into.
Thank you.
So Batman, the Imposter.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah,
Pants and all.
pants and all. Or not.
The most fun you can have with your pants on. Oh, damn.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Oh, yeah, now I have to talk. Okay, great.
Yes.
Alrighty. My first pick is from Artists, Writers, and Artisans. And this is a new title called ETER. And this is the story of the galaxy's leading medical facility. And this just sounds like fun. I have no idea. Based on this synopsis, I have no idea if this is serious or comedy. It could, man, you'd go either way with it, though. So it'll be fun to see what they do. And this first issue, so it's double-sized, or super-sized, this says. So we get two stories in this neat little universe. So I think this is going to be fun.
Yeah, this was on my radar. Yeah, I was intrigued by what I read, so should be good.
As was I, yeah.
All right, I am next, and for my first choice, it's a graphic novel from Ed House Books entitled Comrade Kill, and it's a story of a Cold War super soldier who wakes up from being cryogenically frozen. Of course, the Cold War's over, so what is he supposed to do? And it sounds like it's kind of a knockoff on Cap, except for being Cold War instead of World War II. But, you know, it talks about being too dumb to reconcile this. He goes out into the wild to satisfy a pointless mission objective that no one asked him to do. I'm like, okay.
That's in the synopsis?
That's in the synopsis.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so now you see why it caught my attention. So we'll see. I think it might be kind of interesting. It's written and illustrated by Patrick Sparrow. So, Comrade Kill.
Neat.
Yep.
I like that.
Alrighty, Les, you're up again.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go with my second choice, which is Eek, Halloween Special from Asylum Press. And you folks are welcome because I didn't shout Eek like it's printed. This is it seems to be a one-shot for Halloween, of course, with 3 tales with horror and madness, and it's from what they say is the twisted mind of Jason Palos, who is a pretty good writer in his own right. In this one, you have the Green Fairy, which is a story about a failed artist who indulges in the elixir known as absinthe. And anybody that's had absinthe can tell you that it is wicked. Then a sexy succubus appears before him, so his life changes. The other story listed here has got, I don't know, this just sounds too funny. Death Wears Hot Pants. So I'm hoping that in this one, the cocktail waitress has a surprise when she finds out her new boss is or has an inkling for all things satanic. So yeah, count me in.
Talking
Cool.
about getting into the spirit of things.
Right.
Woo.
Yep. Alrighty, Liz.
All right. For my second pick, I'm going with one called Reckless, Destroy All Monsters, and this is a hardcover. This is actually book 4 in a series that Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips have been doing together. I from everything that I have read on these, it has really taken off a lot higher than they expected. They said book 2 actually had more orders than book 1 did, and book 3 actually doubled the orders that book 2 number had. So this is the 4th one in this series, and this one's called Destroy All Monsters. This one takes place in the end of 88. The others took place in the beginning of 80s. So this is with Ethan, who is a private detective, and he's been hired for his strangest case yet, which is to follow around a Los Angeles real estate well, they're calling her mogul, but a real estate agent. And, he's thinking it's going to be an easy case, just tap into, follow someone around for a minute, get a few pictures and that kind of thing. But it's the things he finds out that this person's doing that kind of drags him into their world. So it should be pretty good. Like I said, with everything that I've heard about the other 3, if you've been a fan, this one will definitely fit into that. Orders look good. And like I said, these have all been released as graphic novels. So it is kind of surprising that, they're selling out so quickly on these.
Yep.
I'm not saying graphic novels don't, but usually if I spend big money on a graphic, it's because I've read some of the floppies. So, but yeah.
Yeah, this one was on my list too.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Mike.
Okie dokie. I'm beginning to wonder if I'm going to have one of these every week in October, and that's okay. My second pick is from Asylum Press, because I picked one last week from them. This one is called Vampires Halloween Special. It is a one-shot, and this one consists of a handful of pre-code vampire stories, which are strung together by a kind of a host type guy called Mr. Carswell. And this sounds like a fun little throwback to the old days, and I'm looking forward to seeing what vampire stories looked like back in the pre-code days. So I'm going to check this one out.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Nothing like EC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, I'm next, and for my second choice, this comes from Razor Bill. This is also a graphic novel entitled Sleepover, and this is the story of Matthew Russo, whose family just come back from a vacation to find out that their nanny had passed away, and Matthew's taking it very, very hard. So his friends decide to, hey, let's do a sleepover to try to cheer him up and all that. But Matthew's mom, being a single parent, can't take time off to be there. So she's forced to hire a new nanny. But the thing is Matthew thinks the new nanny is a witch and a monster. So he doesn't trust her. So this looked like it might be pretty good. It talks about if you're a fan of Stranger Things, you would like this. So I'm like, okay.
Cool.
Should be pretty cool. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, alrighty. Any special shout-outs this week or mentions?
Just a quick reminder, like I said, I'm going to drop a YouTube link in the show notes. Come check out the thing on the 16th. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And a reminder that all the horror special has already been out. It's been out about a few days by this time this drops. So definitely, if you've not had a chance to check that out, you can go back and do that.
We certainly had fun.
Yeah, it was a blast. So, alrighty, move on to our regular shout-outs. First off, I want to thank Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be a part of a great group of fellow podcasts. There will be a link in show notes there to where you can check them out. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Podern Family, who've been so kind enough to spread the word of fellowship by retweeting our tweets. The way you can check them out is go to Twitter, because it's up and going. It's not shut down like some other social media websites. Had to get that shot.
Right.
For a better part of the day, too. It's just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And just put in the search, hashtag Podern Family, one word, and just scroll through, and whatever catches your eye, click on that link and download that episode. And we hope you have a good time listening, and hopefully you've found another podcast to check out. Thank you guys for your support. Also want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying music to our podcast. There will be a link in the show notes where you can check out their fine music. Thank you guys as always. And finally, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We appreciate your support as always, and we value your feedback. Any comments, questions, suggestions, complaints, what have you, please send them our way. There are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can go to the website, go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form you can fill out there. I also already talked about our Discord, the invite being on the homepage. There is a channel on our Discord specifically for feedback of a podcast. Or if you just want to shoot us a message on Discord or individually, you can do that. That's fine. When Facebook is up, we do have a Facebook page, The Fellowship of the Geeks. Obviously, we are on Twitter @FellowshipGeeks. Feel free to follow us there. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. Les may or may not be found @FakeLesWebster. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would be so kind as to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
We appreciate your support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @FellowshipGeeks. Until next time,